Today, people, we are making some French toast. I've already washed my hands, so we're ready to go there. If you have access to a printer, I recommend that you print out the recipe because it's sanitary to have a clean piece of paper, and you're not going to get your phone or Chromebook dirty. Now, I've asked for 3 photos for the assignment. I want 1 photo of your starting space with your phone. I know you're laughing at my phone. It's a flip phone. Make sure you've got the date and time that you started. That's your first photo. So you got to have, of course, your face has got to be in it as well. So 3 things got to be in each of the 3 photos. Your face, what it is I'm asking for, and the date and time on your phone. So that's the first photo. All right, so we're going to make our French toast. The recipe says to beat together in a bowl 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ingredients. How do we know what we're beating together in a bowl? Because this box tells us each of these 5 elements. So we're going to start with a teaspoon of vanilla. Now I know, maybe not. We're using imitation vanilla here. It is way cheaper. It is, this costs about $1 at Walmart. Real vanilla would cost about $6. And we'll talk more about that later. We want a teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm going to use this large measuring cup as my mixing bowl today. There's my teaspoon of vanilla. 2 eggs. All right, teaspoon of vanilla, 2 eggs, 1/2 cup of milk. I'm using a liquid measuring cup. And I know some of you guys like to call this vitamin D milk, but this is actually what is called whole milk because it's got all the fat that the milk has when it comes out of the cow. It's not vitamin D milk because all milk has got vitamin D added. I'm not going to use this measuring cup. I'm going to use a smaller one. My mistake. Smaller one's going to be more accurate. All right, so we want 1/2 cup of milk. One teaspoon of sugar. Now, I just used my teaspoon to measure out vanilla. And I don't want that vanilla getting in my sugar. It'll make it clump up. So it's good for me to wipe off my teaspoon before I stick it in the sugar jar. We don't want lumps. You can see I already got some lumps there. So a teaspoon of sugar. 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. Opt means optional. You can include it or leave it out. I'm going to include it. And is that 1/4 of a teaspoon, not 1/2. Sorry, I don't have my 1/4 of a teaspoon out. It's a very small amount. So we need a very small spoon. All right, now some spice containers have this nice little straight edge built into the lid. So once I scoop my cinnamon, I just use that straight edge to scrape off. Let's try it again. To scrape off the top. Give me a nice accurate measurement. There's my 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. Now those are the things we're going to beat together in a bowl. Now one of my students today had never heard the term beat. So he thought he was going to get in a fight with these things. So no, beating together is a term of mixing, high-speed mixing, and quite often it's used to refer to eggs. You beat your eggs. So I'm going to mix all that together. Now, step 2, we're going to dip bread into milk egg mixture. That's this right here. And we're going to coat both sides. Now, when choosing bread, it's really good to have some old dried out bread. Not moldy, but not real fresh bread. And the reason is because it absorbs the egg mixture much quicker if it's dried out. When we did this in class, I would buy bread at the store, fresh bread, and then open it up overnight and let it dry out a little bit so it would absorb more of this. Because if it's already got moisture in it, it's not going to be that absorbent. Here's my pan. And somebody was asking about this today, and I'm glad because it's a good question. 2 capital T of oil. She said, what's a capital T stand for? She actually said, what's a T stand for? Well, capital T, notice how it's different than this TSP up here. Capital T means tablespoon. Okay, here's a tablespoon. I'll wipe it off. So I need 2 of these of oil. Here's my oil. And the oil portion is not a hard and fast rule. You can use more or less oil as needed. Somebody today in class asked me if they could use, they had to use oil. And I said, well, you could use margarine. I wouldn't recommend butter, but margarine works, and she was happy with that. But one of my other students said, wait a minute, I made French toast yesterday and I used butter. And I said, well, what I should have said was, I don't recommend using butter because it burns easily. Not that you can't use it. So he thought I said you can't use butter at all because it burns every time. No, it just has a tendency to burn. Alrighty. So, I'm going to take, I have cracked wheat sourdough bread because that's what I had in the freezer. Now, hopefully you read this in the directions on Google Classroom. This recipe makes or yields about 6 servings. So that's why it says here we need 1 slice of bread per person. When we did this in the classroom, I had about 6 people per kitchen. So we dipped 6 pieces of bread in here, but we need 1 bread per person. And since there's only 1 of you making this, you don't have to stop at 1 bread. Use as much bread as this will facilitate. So I'm going to move this over here. Move this over. I'm going to dip my bread in there, get it nice and coated. And I'm not going to do that as many times as I've got egg mixture for. My bread's still a little bit frozen, which is not a good idea, but it is what it is. Notice I'm doing this over the pan because when I spill, and I will spill, I want anything I spill to go in there. And I only had enough batter for 5 slices of bread. Alrighty. This cookware right here, it's got this gray coating on it. It's called Teflon. It's a non-stick cookware. It makes cleanup real easily. Not easily, it makes cook-up real easy. This one here too is non-stick. It's got a non-Teflon coating so you can clean up. When using non-stick cookware, it's important that you don't use metal tools because it'll scrape it right off. This pan right here is not non-stick cookware. It's just a stainless steel pot. And you can see there's a lot of food stain on it. You could use a metal tool on this. But on this non-stick stuff, if you use a metal tool, it will scratch it. So that's why my spatula is plastic. Not a very good plastic spatula. Okay, I want to take this opportunity to give you some extra credit because you watched this video. Here we have a salt shaker. If you include a salt shaker, any salt shaker at all, in your video, make it obvious. Not your video, your photograph. Put it in your first photograph with your ingredients on the table. Make sure there's a salt shaker there. I will give you 50 points extra credit because you watched this video. And that's proof of it, that you have a salt shaker in your first of the 3 videos. So include that, 50 points extra credit. And when it's done, a little butter, a little syrup, and you've got French toast. Thanks for watching.